Hey everyone, it's Ryan Leonard with Wolfnest Property Management, and today we're going to be talking about five tenant screening questions that you should be asking prospective tenants when you have a vacancy or trying to rent out that property. Now obviously, when your property becomes vacant and you have it rent ready, you're ready to start that application process. And what we've seen with such a low inventory in real estate is that a lot of people are really renting right now because they can't buy, which is a great thing for landlords, meaning you can be, I want to say, a little bit more picky and choosy with that tenant and make sure that they're going to be a good fit, because a good tenant is a dime a dozen right now. More tenants are a pedigree of a buyer, which is what you want moving into your property. So we'll look at some of the questions that are pretty straightforward. You should be considering when interviewing a prospective tenant. So first one, this should be a no-brainer. What is your income? Now, typically with Wolfnest, we like to see at least 3 times that monthly rental rate coming in collectively as the home. So if the rental rate is $2,000 a month, okay, we want to see at least $6,000 coming in. Now we do a little bit deeper dive. We'll look at monthly debt to income ratio to see, okay, what is a car payment, bills, recurring debts that they are going to have to be paying each month along with this rent, and does that leave them enough money to do so. But if you don't have those resources, a simple question of what is your income, but also make sure that you get documentation showing that that is accurate. Anyone can just throw out a number, and you want to make sure that not only the pay stubs that they're providing you are I would say accurate, but they're going to be consistent. You see this huge check come in, but was it because it was their end of the year bonus or a quarterly bonus, something that they may not get all the time? Those are things that you want to make sure that you're looking at. So seeing bank statements, if they cannot provide pay stubs and consistent income coming in, is a great way to, again, ensure that they're going to be able to afford that property. Next one, obviously, is when you want to move in. The last thing that you want to do is get through the showing process, the screening process, I guess. Think you have a tenant lined up, you're turning away other applications. Come to find out they're trying to move in a month, 2 months. If you have a property that's currently vacant, obviously that's burning money in your pocket, or it's not generating revenue. So you want to get someone in there as quickly as possible. So negotiating that lease start date is really crucial to actually have money start coming in. So if let's say your tenant wants to move in at the end of the month and it's the 5th of the month, maybe you can meet them halfway through the month, or tell them, hey, if you really want this property, the lease is gonna start tomorrow and you can move in whenever you would like. A lot of times tenants are willing to do that if they actually win out and get that property. Next one is provide references. I would do this, when applicable. Again, a lot of times you may have tenants that haven't rented in a long time because they're homeowners and they're relocating, or they are building a home. They sold their other home and they're just waiting, and this is kind of tiding them over till that new house is done. So if you are going to be checking references, make sure that they're accredited. Someone that is a landlord, a part of the Utah Apartment Association, or if it's a management company, those are great references because they'll give you real information. If they rented before from a friend or an in-law or a family member, they're just going to get a glowing review. So you want to make sure, again, that they are accredited. Next one is, do you have pets? Obviously, pets can cause a lot of damage to the property. And also, if your property's in a HOA, there may be breed restrictions or weight restrictions or the number of pets allowed per unit. So when you're screening applicants, make sure that you're asking, do you have any pets, or do you foresee yourself getting any pets? Again, more often than not, I think it's about 7 out of 10 renters here in Utah have pets. So there's a good chance that they will, but knowing that information up front is always a good question to ask. And lastly is, do you smoke? Now, a lot of people still do smoke, and most apartments, condos, they're all going to have in their CC&Rs rules and regs, smoking restrictions or regulations that everyone needs to abide by. Now, again, smoke can cause damage to the property. So asking if they do smoke, okay, that's one thing. But if they do, make sure that you have a smoking addendum in your lease agreement that really spells out exactly what you expect of them to do if they do decide to smoke. So again, these are just a couple tenant screening questions that you want to keep in mind as you have applications coming in. If you'd like to discuss this in a little bit more depth, there's my contact information. Shoot me an email or a call. Happy to discuss our services and see if they could be a good fit for your portfolio. Thank you.